And it is a blessing this morning to have with us the Ordinary for the United States Archdiocese of Military Services, Archbishop Timothy Broglio, joining us from Washington, D.C., where our friends listen on Guadalupe Radio, WMET. Your Excellency, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. It's very good to be with you this morning.
Now, most archdioceses really encompass a geographic area. Not so with the Archdiocese of Military Services. How is your archdiocese set up?
Ours is, of course, a personal archdiocese, so one is a member if he or she is an active duty military person in one of the 5 branches, or an immediate family member, or a patient in a Veterans Administration hospital. And then the final category are those Catholics who work for the federal government outside of the confines of the United States, so ambassadors or federal contractors. So our ministry is based on those categories of people, and we try to minister to them where they are.
And so many of those that you serve, so many in your flock, are in harm's way as we have military operations continuing in parts of the world. Tell us how Catholic cemeteries across the country join together to honor fallen members of the military on the upcoming Memorial Day.
Well, Memorial Day, of course, has its origins. I remember as a child it was called Decoration Day because it grew up from a tradition of decorating the tombs of Civil War veterans and those who had fallen during the Civil War. And so that element continues to be a part of the celebration of Memorial Day every year. It is a time when we remember all of our dead, but in a particular way those who have died in the service of our country. It's a way to pray for them. It's a way to participate in their sacrifice by remembering them in prayer and also by remembering the loved ones they left behind.
Now, I know many of our Catholic cemeteries, or at least one per diocese or archdiocese, will have a special Mass on Memorial Day. How will you participate in Memorial Day, Archbishop?
Well, actually, we have a celebration the week prior to Memorial Day, because, of course, Washington, D.C., that would be a holiday weekend. So we'll do that on Pentecost Sunday, the 19th of May. And actually, the celebration of Memorial Day, I will find myself at the International Military Pilgrimage in Lourdes, France, which is also an opportunity to pray for peace with military ordinaries from around the world who gather for that international pilgrimage.
Well, that certainly is a fitting spot to be on Memorial Day. In your work as the Archbishop of the United States Military Services, you experience, I'm sure, great sadness among families who lose loved ones in a very tragic way. Often very young people are dying. What kinds of pastoral work do you do with these families who have lost loved ones who have served their country?
Well, the military communities continue to try and minister to those who have lost loved ones, particularly those who remain attached to a military community. There is the immediate response, which the military makes to a family when they've lost a loved one, and then that accompaniment that continues throughout the funeral services and so forth, which can sometimes be several weeks after the actual death. And then there's a continued effort to keep these people in prayer and to try and support the families any way that we can. Obviously, once a family no longer has the direct contact with the military, our role is a bit diminished, because if they're no longer living on a military installation, it would be very difficult to come into contact with them in a direct sort of way. But we do invite all of the families to send the names of their loved ones, and then they're remembered at both in our chapel here in Washington and then at the Memorial Mass at the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception.
And how blessed we all are as Catholics to be able to join in this communal prayer, this universal church prayer for those who have died. How does this Memorial Day and all the services that are planned remind us of the importance of praying for the dead?
Well, I think it's a deep reminder of the fact that we are all part of the communion of saints, and so we pray for those who have died, who have gone before us. At the same time, we ask the saints to intercede for them and for us as well. And so it is a mutual helping that continues that communion, that community that existed here on earth and that continues to exist afterwards. It is a great sense, particularly when we gather for the Eucharist, and particularly in those celebrations that will be held throughout the United States in cemeteries, in Catholic cemeteries, will be a great reminder of the fact that we all are part of a community on a pilgrimage to everlasting life, and that we continue to help one another on our way.
And of course, you continue to serve all who are serving in the military, as well as veterans and other government workers overseas. How can we, as this communion of saints, as this universal church, how can we specifically keep these people in our prayers so that they will be protected? And I'm sure they face many challenges in their day-to-day work.
They certainly do, and I think it's important to remember to pray for our servicemen and women and their families. The family pays a great price for the separation, for the horrors of war, and it is very important to continue to remember these people, particularly the young people, in our prayers, and in particular for this Memorial Day observance, which is being sponsored by the Catholic Cemetery Conference. It's a good idea to, if you can, to participate in a Mass at a cemetery, Catholic cemetery in your diocese or in your area. That's an important way to participate as well in this national remembrance.
Yeah, in the Cincinnati area at Gate of Heaven Cemetery, Bishop Joe Binzer will be celebrating Mass, and it's just always a beautiful celebration with the Knights of Columbus, members of the military. I wonder if we could just ask you to lead us in a very short prayer for those who have died serving our country and those who continue to courageously serve.
We'd be happy to. Father in heaven, we ask you to look with love upon all our men and women in uniform. Keep them safe, especially those who are in harm's way. We remember as well those who have gone before us, who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of our nation, in helping us to preserve our way of life, and also for being agents for the promotion of freedom and for the dignity of the human person throughout the world. We ask you to look with love on them, to receive them into your kingdom, and to bless